I'm gonna say something super brave in the year of our queen, Taylor Swift 2025. I like the Outer Worlds. I like the world building, I like the people, I like killing the people, and I like having the ability to fight capitalism and corporate overlords, all for the price of giving $60 to a corporation called Obsidian Entertainment and sitting on my couch in my rent-controlled apartment. Remember when games were $60 because no one else wants you to? Sure, the game isn't as grand as Skyrim or as politically complex as Fallout New Vegas, but it was a simple, small game I enjoyed playing back when I was still in high school and filled the hole that fucking Fallout 76 left in its wake. There's a reason why single-player game companies should just focus on, single-player games. And The Outer Worlds 2 is just around the corner, and I want to prepare myself for it, and remember the mechanics and the theme, and afterwards prepare a blood sacrifice to my cardboard cutout of my Lord and Savior Master Neloth and beg to make sure the game doesn't suck. So make sure you pay off your gravesite fees and grab your space guns, because we are going outside! Worlds. Outer. Fuck it, let's roll. Meet Willie Worlds, an old man with a desire to do two things: make money, and destroy all corporations. I should also mention that he is unfortunately not very intelligent, and so numbers no work good for him, and he has the personality of a brick wall. But he makes up for it by being very strong and perceptive. Willie's story begins when an old man named Phineas wakes him from cryosleep and sends him to meet with some pirate whose name Willie already forgot. And it's very fortunate that he did forget, because this guy is now fucking dead, crushed by the unrelenting weights of capitalism, at least in Willie's eyes. When trying to find the ship of the captain that was brutally eviscerated, Willie sees nature at work and says hello to the local wildlife, but they unfortunately did not want to say hello back. Willie then discovers that he has the power to slow down time, sorta like the Flash if he was born as a snail. He then meets his first victim, person who serves the corporate world. And after patching up his wounds, he asks him questions to get his bearings and demands his firearm, or else he will unpatch his wounds.
All Spacer's Choice weapons are now 30% less likely to malfunction. You've tried the best, now try the rest. Spacer's Choice.
Well, I guess his statistics were accurate, but they didn't account for a psychopath that will destroy all the corporations no matter how many people he has to kill to do it. He then carves a bloody path through some marauders who are worse than the corporations because they have no civility, no decency, and no way to say words that are more than 2 syllables. I mean, even Willie can do that. But Willie's kill streak is not over yet, as he encounters 2 more corporate stooges that must be shown the error of their ways. The lieutenant asks if we saw one of her soldiers that got lost, and we tell her that he's doing just great.
Well, that's a relief. You don't want to know how much paperwork's involved in paying off a gravesite fee.
Before fighting these pencil pushers, Willie threatens them to kill the marauders with him, or else he's going to tell Daddy Warbucks here about how they're not pulling their weight. And afterwards, Willie lays down the hammer of true justice. He enters the ship that has a robot lady voice that berates him for being curious and looking around.
Please be informed that this vessel contains no valuable plunder. Marauder, please be informed that ignoring me is dangerous for your health. Intruders are not authorized to access the Unreliable's amenities. Please be advised that using the respecification machine will not make you a better person.
Aww. When Willie meets the lady, whose name is actually Ada, she tries to jettison him into space, which really bums Willie out because it's happened too many times today.
You are still here. My deception protocols have failed. I have been programmed to express disappointment.
After surviving death once again, Willie tells Ada that Captain What's-His-Name was unfortunately killed. And so Ada decides to make Willie the new captain by some means that goes completely over his head, so he just smiles and nods.
Excellent. Welcome back, Captain Hawthorne.
Ada explains that Willie must now find a power regulator in order to fly the ship so that he can take the fight to the board beyond the stars. When he gets out of the ship, he encounters this random guy who introduces himself.
I'm Ernie, from the Spacer's Choice Department of Human Resources.
Human resources? They are the most evil within the corporate ladder and must be rendered unresourceful. After saving the universe from the evils of human resources, Willie kills a few more marauders and makes his way to the nearest town. And that town is Edgewater, though with all the gravestones you'd think that some psychopath had come through recently. Willie talks to a man named Silas who claims to be a junior in humor, and Willie gets starstruck as he always liked comedians.
Nah, I ain't that fancy. I just dig holes in the ground and fill them with dead folk.
Well, that was fucking disappointing. Luckily, Silas excites Willie once again with the promise of money as he needs to collect grave site fees from various residents within Edgewater. Willie doesn't like helping out those associated with, corporations, but two of his favorite things is making money, so he does agree. Willie takes one look at that damn moon man and his dumbass grin and vows that he will destroy Spacer's Choice at all costs, no matter how many people he has to kill in the process. The first thing Willie does when he enters town is loot all the corpses in the town morgue and squeeze the mortician for all the money he owes to Silas. He also extorts an innocent old man named Abernathy, but Abernathy then gives him a job to steal some medicine from marauders. Which gets Willie excited because now Abernathy is like killing 3 birds with 1 stone, except the birds are paychecks and Willie still can't count good. However, some shady lady asks us to give her the medicine instead when we find it so she can give it to people that actually deserve it. We shall see. Then, after shaking an evil foreman for money, the foreman being lackeys of the corporate bosses, he then makes his way up the elevator to talk with the big bad town boss himself. Bum ba da da bum. Bum ba da bum ba da 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 da. Willie reluctantly explains his situation to the evil Reed Thompson, and he responds by saying that while he cannot give Edgewater's power regulator, there is another one at a botanical garden. But there are former workers that deserted and are now living there, and Reed wants Willie to shut down their power at the abandoned power plant, convince the deserters to come home, and take their regulator. A mechanic named Parvati also asks to tag along as she believes she could be useful, and Willie accepts, as that is another member added to his cause. Now, Willie isn't too keen on shutting down these freedom-loving deserters' power, but he decides to go and talk to them so he can understand the situation better. And maybe even destroy Edgewater and liberate the working class, or kill them, whatever's quicker. Miss Parvati doesn't really feel as certain, probably because she still has heretical thoughts from living here, so she asks Willie to talk to the local vicar. But Vicar Max uses one too many complex words, so his advice is really useless, and his talk of a great plan makes Willie's head hurt.
I see today we'll be conversing without metaphors.
But he does ask Willie to retrieve a book for payment, which Willie gleefully accepts. He then makes one last stop to the constable to look into some bounties because Willie loves money and killing, and then he sets out into the wonderful and violent Emerald Vale. And he doesn't make it more than 2 feet before some local grunt tells him about a robot revolution taking place under the noses of everyone, and now Willie believes they are coming to fuck him.
Oh, they mean to. Just you wait.
And so now he is fighting 2 separate wars, one against the corporate overlords and another against the auto-mechanical overlords. Wait, auto-mechanicals? That sounds a lot like automatons! You son of a bitch, I'm in. I'm ready to fight the robot apocalypse. And Willie does just that by gutting down this lone robot before it can report to its communist, I mean corporate, or rather just someone. It'll report to someone. After returning the debts owed to Silas, Willie returns to Ludwig to report that the damned robot has now been scrapped, and he commends Willie on his valor, and gives him new orders to infiltrate the same power plant Willie was already going to. Willie at first thinks it's to go undercover as a robot, but...
You got pluck, kid. But no, can't risk having you go native.
Instead, it's to find an intact robot brain for the Resistance to study, which is good for the Resistance, but kinda lame for Willie. Now, after talking to all these people in Edgewater, it is finally time to go out into Emerald Vale for real this time, and go a-killing and a-questing. First, Willie raids a massive marauder hangout at the Visitors Center and uses a variety of different guns to dispatch his foes and retrieve the medicine for Abernathy. But rather than give it to Abernathy, Willie gives it to Esther instead because, I don't know, to each according to their need or some shit, I don't know. In the Visitors Center, Willie found a fun combat shotgun which is super powerful and is the gun Willie uses for most of this video. But while you enjoy a homicidal rampage, I do want to state that while I enjoy this game, it is by no means perfect. Especially since it is basically an indie game being marketed as a AAA game by Xbox. That's the first bounty Gilliman down, which is why at one point the sequel, Outer Worlds 2, was priced at fucking $80, which is just ludicrous, and while it's been reduced to the average $70, which I still think is far too high, I really feel like the Outer Worlds 2 and the original on release should have been priced at around $40 like Helldivers 2, an indie game that is still a success despite the cost. That's the last ladder Bertie Cotton will climb. I'll be honest, if I wasn't already getting Outer Worlds 2 free with Game Pass or making videos on both of the games, I probably wouldn't even buy it unless I already heard it was something groundbreaking, because what's the fucking point otherwise? Gaming is just so expensive now. Hell, I even hesitated buying Space Marine 2 because while it was a great game that I enjoyed and opened my eyes to the God Emperor of Mankind, it was still 70 goddamn doubloons. And now Doc Maybell has been given such extensive injuries that no doctor in the world can heal her. And that's my rant over. I'll talk more positively about the game later, but back to the adventures of Willie. While Willie was manifesting his inner bounty hunter, he found the book that Vicar Max wanted, which was surrounded by a bunch of mines, because fuck it, why not? And met some chick named Zoe that became queen of the Marauders by giving them drugs. If it's this easy to make friends, I might try this myself and become the world's largest skooma dealer. Anyways, Willie returns the fingers of his bounty kills to Constable Reyes, and even promotes Willie to Junior Deputy Constable, which I guess means his word is now law, and there are no longer any repercussions for his actions, legal or otherwise. This will make destroying the board and extorting people much, much easier. You know, are we actually the good guys or the bad guys? Wait, cancel that seditious thought. Afterwards, we return to Vicar Max to give him the book he was looking for, and for a preacher, he has a very colorful reaction.
What the fuck is this? Is this French? I can't fucking read French.
Max basically says, fuck these people I'm around, and asks if he can join Willie on his ship, as he's had enough with Edgewater, and feels Willie is his best bet on finding a French translator. Though he probably should have realized that Willie is so stupid he probably doesn't even know what translators even are. Willie accepts, and Vicar Max says he will join our merry band when he's ready. After that, we make our way to the deserter camp and meet an aspiring mechanic named Thomas that totally, definitely, absolutely does not have a crush on Parvati.
Whoa, Miss Parvati. You're, how are you? Hi. Hello.
Thomas wants to be a mechanic just like Parvati, but doesn't know jack shit about engineering, so we end up going on yet another scavenger hunt to find some more books. Becoming a librarian was the last thing I expected from fucking Willie here. Afterwards, we finally meet Adelaide herself, the leader of the deserters who's actually been able to grow a lovely farm. Free from the corporate bureaucracy and tyranny, Willie tells her that he has been sent by Reed Thompson to tell the deserters to come on back home and that he will be taking away their power to repair his ship. But Adelaide gives a counter-argument Willie finds really intriguing.
You should divert power away from Edgewater and toward our end of the grid. Think about it. You'd be liberating an entire town from a lifetime of service to that odious cannery. Seems the sort of thing a hero would do.
You son of a bitch, I'm in. This is what Willie has wanted since he first set foot on this planet, to liberate the people whether they wanted to be liberated or not. And what better way to do it than to shut off their power and entire way of life? So Willie accepts, and after killing some big-ass dog, Willie loads his guns and makes his way to the power plant. He at first thinks the electricity is just for show, but he gets cooked more than a deep rare steak, and so he enters from the back. That's what she said. Now, while Willie fights to destroy robot and corporate tyranny once and for all, I do want to state that I really do love this game. I think its combat is actually great, mostly due to the slow motion time dilation, although I'm not a fan of melee combat, mostly because doing so at the beginning is very miserable in my opinion. As you're inhaling so much adreno to keep your health up, you feel like a drug addict or some kid with asthma. Running a pistol build is my favorite, and playing a corporate bounty hunter wielding a revolver was peak fun I had in this game, and something I'll do for the Outer Worlds too. Although maybe less on the corporate part, at least for my first run. I also enjoy the 5 various ways you can play this game: the violent revolutionary, the peaceful revolutionary, the murder hobo, peaceful corpo dude, and violent corpo dude, and somewhere in the middle insert the dumb ending to the game. And Outer Worlds is a game where they don't use the shitty affinity system you see in games like Fallout 4 or Starfield, as I always felt that system was so limiting, as I felt forced to conform to whatever my companion liked rather than what I liked just so I can get their perk. I mean, I don't give a fuck that you dislike me for cracking a joke at fucking Sheffield. But I could honestly make a whole separate video on my hatred of the like/dislike affinity system, and I might, because I think it's lame and there are infinitely better ways to do it, like with Fallout New Vegas and Outer Worlds. Oh, and shout out to Willie for being so good with a shotgun that he did whatever the fuck this is to a robot. And additionally, I actually like all of the companions, and I don't find any of them really annoying. Well, except for maybe Nyoka, but that's really just because she's introduced so late into the game, and I've already formed a bond with 4 other people, so I just don't really care to have her be in my posse, really. Anyways, enough about the things I like. Let's get back to Willie and the man he met named Higgins, that is...
definitely not insane.
But Higgins claims that he was once the chairman of the board and a tycoon owner, all things Willie hates, so, well... And finally, we make it to the terminal of the power plant, and the fate of Edgewater is now in our hands, but Parvati has some words for us.
I don't think you should cut off Edgewater's power. I think it would be cruel. I'm sorry. That just sort of came out all at once.
Too late. Fuck Spacer's choice. After doing glorious work, we return to the deserter camp to tell Adelaide the good news, but not before giving Thomas all the engineering manuals he needs so he can build himself a new girlfriend. Adelaide thanks Willie profusely, but doesn't give him any sort of reward, which is disappointing, but destroying a cannery is a reward in itself. Before entering Edgewater, and no doubt listening to all the workers praising Willie's name for liberating them, he gives Ludwig the robot brain from the power plant so that the war against the automatons can continue, and at least Ludwig gives Willie a reward.
What are we supposed to do now?
Exercise patience and contemplate the scriptures.
Don't contemplate your scriptures. Go, be free, do something aside from work. Maybe read the Communist Manifesto, I don't know.
You want to know what gets my bile churning? Edgewater has suffered a cavalcade of disasters, plague, marauders, desertion. Then you wandered in town. And I was so damn sure our luck was starting to turn. I never knew how right I was. Just answer one question for me. Why'd you do it?
To liberate the workers, but also press buttons because dumb dialogue is best dialogue.
Wonderful. Law have mercy. Well done, Reed. You went and delivered the fate of Edgewater into the hands of a certified imbecile. Whatever you were hoping to find down here, I advise you to turn around and leave. I have got guards posted with orders to fire on you.
Oh, but that's just the thing, Thompson. I might claim to want to liberate the workers and free them, sure, but the truth is, I want you to resist. Here's a little lightning from my character Dreloth in my Star Wars movie I made, Liberation! Reed Thompson, you are now fired! We did it, Parvati. We liberated the people from tyranny. We saved the world. We are truly heroes. Oh, forgot about that pesky power regulator this was all for. After Willie plugs the power regulator into his ship, he then takes flight into space to find more corporations to destroy and more people to liberate. Alive or dead. And that is the story of Willie. I wanted to experiment more with this type of video genre as I genuinely enjoyed my 4-hour Star Wars movie and would like to make more like it in the future. This was more of an experiment for what I will do when The Outer Worlds 2 comes out, as unlike Star Wars The Old Republic, I had to tackle making this video from a different direction. But I think there were some things I liked and some things I didn't like that I will be improving on at a later date. And have no fear, my regular content will still be releasing, and I think at some point we will be paying Nazim and the entire Empire a visit. But you know who gives me the inspiration to experiment with new video ideas? My channel members, and they are Mirak, Sovdark, Will Ernst, The Proud Prince, JJ Ensid, Milani Stilla, Grud, Ranger McKay, Luxie, Carson Friday, Dova 2023, Abdullah the Goat, David Correa, Kirill Gaming, Dalton Rupert, I Love House Halalu, Felix Rianis, Cosmo, Jarinish Evento, Grabowski, Serene Molly, Smooth Weaver Walkthroughs, Anka RMZ, Bane Hellborn, Shinigami James, Gret, The Ember Raven, Cat Lassie, Jorinaris Targaryen, Awea Ann, and Winter Raven 37. So with all that being said, make sure to like the like button, like the subscribe button, and like the bell notification down below to be updated on future videos. And I will see you whenever the fuck I decide to upload again. House Telvanni be with you.
I suppose you want to be asked nicely. Very well. Please, O hero of Skyrim, I shall be ever so grateful